everybody, welcome back to another episode of Meant to Be Monday. I'm your host, Paul Turner, and today I asked a question on my Facebook page, and if you're not a friend of mine on Facebook, I welcome you to come on by and connect with me there. It's facebook.com/Paul W. Turner, and so I posted the question there today to get some questions from folks, and strangely enough, or maybe not, all the three questions that I got there all had kind of to do with the same subject. And so let me just read a few of the questions for you, and then that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about building momentum in your youth ministry. Building momentum in your youth ministry. So let me read the questions for you. And by the way, if I butcher your name, I apologize off the top there. And if I have messed up your name, please leave me a comment, and we'll try to fix that next time, okay? So here's the questions here. Tim asks, youth group is stale, there is no life, and as a result, students aren't coming. Tim, I totally feel you there. What do you do, he asks. Donique says, how do you generate momentum, that's the basic question, right? And that's what we're going to get into here in a second. And then finally, Jackie asks, a third of my group claims to be atheist. Their moms make them come, basically. The rest are extremely apathetic. Words of wisdom, she says, words of wisdom to keep me from pulling my hair out. So listen, Jackie, I've been where you're at too. So these are all great questions because they all deal with the fact that something needs to change. Something needs to shift in your youth ministry to create that dynamic and change the momentum where people start jumping on board versus jumping off, right? So let me just go into a few things that I think are important to the discussion. Number one, I don't know the size of your youth ministry. I don't know the group makeup, guys versus girls. I don't know your leadership. There's plenty of things I do not know about your particular situation. So hopefully all the questions here, all of you who submitted them, will gain and glean from just the things that I've done, at least in my youth ministry, and that's really the perspective that I can talk from. So let me just offer a few things. Now, when we're talking about changing momentum, when things are on a downhill shift in some way, I have to look at some things. I have to look at the demographics. I have to look at the change of the church. Where's that heading? Where's it going in there? Is momentum changing because of that? The area I live in? Is there not enough excitement? Is there not enough? Whatever is going on? And it could be, like I said, extend from the church or from the city or from wherever I'm living. But then eventually you get around to looking inside and say, you know what? This is a programming issue, possibly. This is where the programs that we offer and things are not meeting the needs of students. So in that case, I do little things. Okay, now I'm the kind of guy who likes to kind of push the envelope a little bit. You may not be that way. But I tend to go that way because, you know what, if something is already in a downward slide, I can't fail anymore, right? I cannot fail to the, nth degree. If whatever's I'm doing is not working, then more of not working isn't going to hurt me at all. But I could, in doing this and doing little small things, might hit upon something. Little things that I do, number one is I'll change the room up, okay? You say, well, that's ridiculous, Paul. Well, when you change the room, people come into the room, they're used to seeing the room in a certain way. When I change the room, that is an indicator that something new is about to happen. So something they're about to experience is not like anything else. So if the chairs are in a circle, they're saying, well, what is going on? If the chairs are all lined up in rows, say, what is going on? This is over here, there's a prop, there's something significant there. There's something there that is causing them to question what is new in the room, what is happening here, and what is about to happen tonight. So you're building a little bit of an expectation. So in a small scale, you could go ahead and just change the room. Changing the room changes the momentum in some ways because you're changing it from the time a student walks in the door, you're creating questions in their mind because they don't know what you're doing, which can be a good thing. The other thing you could do is change your style. Change the style of the way you communicate. If you're used to communicating simply verbally, try something with video, try something with audio, try something with pictures, try something with illustrations, try something with all of those things. Different things is changing our personal style. If your students are used to a certain way of you doing things, it's time to change it up a little bit. And that's where you have to look at yourself and say, well, okay, how do I do this for myself? In other words, how do I retrain myself, or how do I build skills within me that are going to help to meet the needs of the students that I have? Because if they're one kind of learner and I'm a different kind of teacher, then that may not work. I have to then develop and work around the kind of learners they are. So change your style, change the room, change the music. If you're what kind of music do you play? Are you playing music that kids like? Do you change the atmosphere within your room? Maybe your praise and worship if you have a worship band, that gets a little old sometimes. Completely change that up. Change the kind of music, the kind of songs you do, the kind of artists you use, those kind of things. If you'll change some of those things, that could be a momentum shift. The fourth thing is change the conversation. Instead of saying, how do I get more kids into the youth ministry, is one conversation. How do I build up the kids that I currently have is another conversation. So changing momentum is, instead of asking your kids and saying, hey, how do we get more kids to come? Or just, banging that drum or tooting that horn or whatever it is, to try to get more kids to come. They're used to you hearing that, and they're used to you saying that, and they're used to hearing that from you. Well, why don't we, change that up and change the momentum and change the conversation to these individual conversations you have with students? Whether it's, Jackie, you're dealing with, these atheist kids. Well, I would, I'm the kind of guy that's, not afraid to push a button or two. I'll say, well, look, if you're an atheist, why don't you prove to me there's no God? Let them run the service. Say, look, you're going to run the service and we're going to have a debate tonight and you're going to bring all the evidence you have as to why there is no God. Now, so let's say you change the room. You put two podiums in that room. One says atheist, one says believer. You automatically engage them because they go, what is going on? And then you say, well, for the next 4 weeks, we're going to have a debate as to why you believe there is no God and what are the arguments for that. And there's plenty of resources on YouTube and other places that you can do for, apologetics and things like that. I use a resource, I'll put a link down below, called the 1 Minute Apologist, which are really great resources. They may be great videos you can show to your kids to kind of spark that kind of conversation. And those are the kind of questions and things that we can't move away from. And sometimes a little bit of vibrant debate can change the momentum in the room. In other words, this is engaging now. This is something my brain has to work, not just my soul, but my brain has to function. I have to talk about this. I talk about the things that I'm passionate about. And maybe in changing the conversation that way and changing all those things, you wind up with a different kind of momentum. At least if it's short term. Sometimes there's short term momentum changers, like changing the room or changing the music. But then there's long term momentum changes that deal with how we deal with the students themselves. And if we're looking at long term of dealing with a kid from the time he's in 7th grade or 6th grade to the time they graduate, then you can begin to sense the waves of momentum of things you can do throughout a year that will help you do that. Changing the staff is another way to change momentum. I tell you what, from me, when I added our music, Kinsley, who does our music for us, when I put her in charge of that, it changes everything because I'm not a praise and worship leader. I don't do all that stuff. I'm the lead worshiper in the sense that I lead worship from the microphone sometimes, not that I sing, but I encourage, I extol, I admonish, I do those things as far as being a lead worshiper, but she does all the detail stuff. And so when I add a staff member, sometimes taking away a staff member changes momentum. And so whenever you add somebody or take somebody away, that can change the momentum because you're not the sole person trying to drive the train now. You're not the one mule pulling the train. Suddenly you have 2 or 3 mules or 4 mules or 5 mules pulling this thing, and suddenly the weight doesn't feel nearly as difficult in doing that. Let me leave you with just a couple of quotes here. And I hope I answered some of your questions that will help you and assist you doing that. By the way, if any of you that have asked these questions or anybody that's watching today, if you say, look, I need a little extra help in coaching or in training, I do have some ideas and programs for that, and there'll be a link down below. If you have any further questions on anything I've talked about today, please leave me your comments and questions down below. If they will help you in any way, shape, or form, I would love to be able to answer those questions as we build a community here of youth workers who care about youth work, who care about discipling teenagers and care about those things. So that's what we're trying to do. Let me read a couple of quotes here that may help you. It says this, Adam Braun says this, says, for any movement to gain momentum, it must start with a small action. This action becomes multiplied by the masses and is made tangible when the leadership changes course due to the weight of the movement's voice. And I think that's so important there. Number one, it starts out with small things, right? A small action that you do, and that may be a small way you change the room or the music or something you shift that changes the atmosphere in your room to get kids thinking a different way. But it also says that he says, and it's made tangible when leadership changes course due to the weight of the movement's voice. Now the question is, who is the movement's voice? Are you the movement's voice? Or maybe it's a student. And you've heard this in some of my other videos, but when I started small groups this past year, it's because two students came to me and said, Paul, we want to do small groups for high school girls. We feel like we want to lead that. Now, I could have went and said, you know what, this is not the right time or the right season or anything. I said, look, we're going to change the whole format of what we're doing right now. Not that what we were doing was bad, but when students have that, when it's their idea, by the way, that will change momentum. That when kids have that idea, it says, what are we doing? How can we do this? And you come alongside those to collaborate with them to see a thing through. Let me tell you what, it will change everything for you. And it did for us as well. It didn't necessarily make the youth group grow. We engaged visitors, other things like that. But what it did do is it changed the momentum in our youth ministry in a different direction. And then what we do during the summertime, and there'll be a link down below for this, is what we do something called Tribes. And it is a great program. It's a great deal for us. It worked out really well. The kids, in fact, the other night, every year we do movie groups and movie titles and things like that. But one thing I suggested I said, what about TV titles? And man, they started going crazy with TV titles. It's their idea. So when I respond to that, I go, TV titles, great. So I just eat up that momentum that they want to give me and say, all right, we're going to go in that direction. So when they get that and they're getting behind that versus something I just feed them, let me tell you what, that goes a long way. The other thing, the quote that I'll give you is this is from Pete Rose. And Pete Rose says, sliding headfirst is the safest way to get to the next base. I think, and the fastest, says you don't lose your momentum, and there's one more important reason I slide head first. It gets my picture in the paper. And so, it's true. When you're moving like that, when you go head first, that momentum. And so whatever you're doing, consider going head first into it. Get those kids on board with you. Get your students, have those individual conversations as what can I do to help you reach your friends? Or if you're dealing with like Jackie's dealing with, how do we deal with these atheist kids? Well, find that one true believer in your group that says, look, I want to pray with you. Can we pray for the rest of the youth ministry? Do you have a heart for this youth ministry? I want to pray with you, and let's pray for these other students. And so, Tim, Donique, Jackie, I hope all this advice was good for you today. And for those that are watching today, if you're brand spanking new, thanks for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you have questions, you'll leave me some comments down below. But be sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button there if you would like to be a part of this community. And also, you'll get videos like this in your inbox weekly between the Mentor Me Monday and also the Tuesday Panic. And if you're a regular, thank you so much. Thank you for submitting questions, and thank you for just being a part of this community and liking the videos. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. That lets me know you like the video and you want more of them. And so anyway, that's it for Mentor Me Monday today. I hope you enjoyed the extended version of Mentor Me Monday today, but thank you for the questions today. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on the Tuesday Panic. Otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow, and you guys have a great day today. Talk to you later. Bye.